morning, my fabulous Sonder fam. Welcome to our first setup for the month of June. I can't believe it already, even though technically we're still in May, right? We are still kind of finishing up May. And so just so you know, when we do the mind map, we're going to have a little bonus mind map this weekend. So it'll have a little bit to do with the new theme, but will kind of be a little more all encompassing, can kind of be anywhere on your journal. And then next weekend, we'll start the official flow for week's mind map. So just so you know. So if we have not met, my name is Maya. I am coming to you from Denver, Colorado, technically Aurora, one of the suburbs. And I'm so excited. My fabulous co-host, Jennifer Kay, is actually in the state. Um, she is here in Colorado Springs. And so after the social, we are going to hop in our cars and we are going to meet in Castle Rock and we are going to have breakfast. So I'm super excited that we actually finally get to meet in person. How many years now? 5 years we've known each other and we finally get to meet in person. So super, super excited. I'll post pictures in Sonder Club. So super fun. Yes, finally we get to kind of be together. And I love everyone kind of thinking about this. You can only pick two from the list for sure. For me, unlimited money for books was a no-brainer. But then I was like, I don't know, do I want a tiny pet dragon? Do I want to conjure cheese at will? I definitely love cheese. I'm okay without the video game one, but the cozy cottage with no bills seems really good. The time travel, it's one of those like maybe, I don't know. Yeah, and Nicole's saying if it was teleporting as opposed to time travel, that might be good as well. So thanks for indulging a little fun with the cozy nerdy things on Instagram. She always has kind of the fun little kind of questions, and sometimes she has those are the ones I put up with, kind of like the what kind of pizza are you, or what kind of breakfast food are you. So I think her stuff is always fun. So real quick, make sure you set that chat to everyone. It has that obnoxious tendency to go back to host and panelist. And when it does, only myself and Jennifer Kay can see what you have written. There is apparently, this was brand new last night when I was doing the social with Jen O. I can leave reactions and make specific comments on your comments. I don't think you're able to, but for some reason now I am. So it's kind of cool. So maybe they'll eventually get it for everybody to have, because it is kind of fun to be able to do. So I'll try to do that as we're going through the social here. Is this anyone's first time being with us here at a Silk and Sonder weekly setup? Maybe you just started with the journal. Maybe you don't even have your June journal yet, which is absolutely okay. You can always write that in. Oh, Michelle says it's her first time for a monthly. This is going to be a weekly setup today. Just so you know, we're going to set up the week. The monthly setup is tonight with Jennifer O. Just so there's a bunch of um, the bunch of weeklies and monthlies this weekend. And guess what? I'm on all of them. I won't necessarily be the front facing person on all of them, but I am either behind the scenes or in front of the camera for all of them this weekend. So you get a lot of me. So I think I saw somebody else. Brandy is new. Welcome, welcome. I do like to point out to folks that the chat can get going pretty fast, because we usually have upwards of 100-ish people. And so sometimes the chat can get scrolling really fast. And if that's stressful, just kind of click out of that, turn that off. You can kind of ignore. Sometimes folks like to spend the time in the chat chatting with all their Sonder fam, and they make notes and then they work on the setup later. Some people work specifically on their journal and they ignore the chat. Some people kind of do between. You're welcome to join as many of these socials as you would like this weekend. So plenty of time to get things set up. And we're so happy that you took a little time out of your day to work on setting up that journal, setting up that first week of June. And if you know me, you know how excited I am that this month, my birthday month, starts on a Monday. I love it when a month starts on a Monday. It makes things so nice and tidy with the journal, I think. So it makes me very happy. So just a few little community guidelines to make sure that you're all aware of. We want to make sure that you're kind and courteous both to yourself and others. No promotions or spam. We respect everyone's privacy, no hate speech or bullying, limiting those repetitive product and accessory questions. We try to keep the conversation in the chat focused on kind of the activity that we're doing, but it's fine to ask, where folks got pins that don't bleed through, or where people got their stickers. But honestly, the best place for that is in Sonder Club. because then folks can post links and pictures and all those kinds of things. Oh, I see lots of birthdays this month. Who else did I see? Kelly. I think I saw somebody else in the chat. So happy birthday to all of us. So exciting to have I love having a summer birthday. I think June, honestly, is the perfect month for a birthday because it's 6 months away from Christmas. So you don't get that, oh, I already spent all this money on you for Christmas, so I can't spend a lot on your birthday. I feel sorry for people who have the December birthdays because I feel like um, they kind of get that, oh, it's your birthday Christmas present, right? And it's like, wait, that's not fair. And we were talking, there's a gal at work and her son is going to propose to his girlfriend, but he's waiting until October and he's going to do it on her birthday. And I said, well, he better have a birthday present in addition to the proposal because that is rude if he thinks that the proposal and the ring is her birthday present, because that is separate, my friend. So anyways, just my thoughts there. Remember to redirect all those customer care inquiries to our headquarters team, hello@silkandsonder.com. If you need to update your mailing address, you need to update expiration date on credit cards, all of those go to hello@silkandsonder.com. Jennifer and I do not have access to your account, so we can't fix anything there. And then ultimately remember that these socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community. And we have a fabulous, supportive, creative, brilliant community here. But ultimately, you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if there's ever anything that's like stressing you out or you don't want to work on something, work on what you need to, do what you need to. You're not required to be here. We're not grading you. We're not taking attendance, right? Do what you need to do. If the music I play is not your jam, you can mute that. If my voice is not your jam, you can mute me. We have closed captioning enabled. Like, do what you need to do for you. It really is your time. So we want to make sure that you are doing what you need and not feeling stressed out. Oh, Nicole, thank you. You're so sweet to say you are always my jam. But it's one of those things where it's like, I know not everybody is everybody's jam. Not everybody is everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay, right? That's why we have multiple facilitators to chat with you all. So let's dive into this month's theme of flow. And I am so excited for this one. Being a psychology major, I was a minor, psychology was my minor in undergrad, educational psychology for a master's and a PhD. So I've had lots of this idea of flow state. And I've read Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, is how you pronounce his name, I'm pretty sure. I look it up every time because it's always hard to say. It's that really long name. We were talking last night, we were calling him MC, the guy who did all the research back in the 90s and on this idea of flow state. So I think this is great. We've got this idea of flow state where the happiest people spend much time in a state of flow, the state in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. The experience itself is so enjoyable that people will do it even at great cost for the sheer sake of doing it. And I almost feel like these socials are a way to get us into flow state because how fast does this hour go, right? Treadmill hour does not go even remotely as fast. Hour at work does not go as fast, but these socials go super fast. And I feel like that's because we're in this flow state. We're chatting with people. We're doing something creative. We're thinking of how to set up our week, or we're working on one of these journal prompts. And it really just gets people into this state of flow, which leads to happiness. Right. And then also when you stop fighting the current, you will find yourself floating with ease. So really kind of thinking about flow state occurs when we kind of stop fighting, when we stop doing a lot of I should do this or I shouldn't do that. And then when you release yourself to the flow, thoughts slip away, magic happens, time stands still, and creativity dances freely. And I love that idea of creativity dancing. So I think lots of opportunities for us this month to really kind of dig into this and take a look. So our agenda for this morning, we're going to do that bonus mind map. We're going to do our rosebud thorn that's still in our May journal. If you don't have the May journal, no worries. You can do this in a blank space in your June journal. And then we're going to do those weekly setup pages. So if you've been with me, you know that I always use these two little cartoons to illustrate a couple of points. The first one is there's room for you here just as you are. Good things, bad things, stressful things, happy things, celebrations. All of that. We're here for all of it. And then the way you feel matters. No emotion you feel is bad or unworthy. So no one can tell you, oh, you shouldn't be happy about this, or you should be happy about this. You shouldn't be mad about this. You should, like, our feelings are just our feelings. And that's how they are. So yes, Mary Ellen, the theme for June is flow. Right. So here's our bonus mind map question. Again, this can be anywhere. You can keep this in your May journal. You can jump over to your June journal. If you just want to do it on a sticky note, that kind of thing. What we are going to think about is we're going to take the last 2 months' themes, awareness and integrity, and see how we might start to incorporate that into this idea of flow. So the question for you to answer, the question for you to think about, and I always tell people, make sure you do a screenshot of these and do screenshots for any of these slides that you might want to look back on later. And especially these mind map questions, I feel like we get a little bit of a chance to start thinking about it. And then we have to move on to something else. So sometimes it's good to reflect on it for the whole week. So the question is, what truth am I aware of, but not fully acting on? What is one thing I noticed this month that I felt called to act on? And how did honoring or ignoring that impulse change my momentum? So what does that look like? And if you missed the other 4, I don't have those in my slide deck. But if you go onto one of our recordings from the previous weeks, you can grab the previous mind map and take a picture of that. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to let you reflect on this, maybe a truth that you became aware of during the month of awareness, and you've been kind of digging into it with this idea of integrity. And now we're thinking about, what does this mean in terms of momentum? What does this mean in terms of my flow? What does this mean in terms of how I'm either acting on it or maybe deciding not to act on it? What does that look like for you as you go into this month, as you go into this week? And yes, Jennifer, this is just anywhere on a blank page. None of this is printed in your journal. Usually what folks do for the mind map, we always have the official mind map is 4, right? So each weekend, and people will kind of divide a page into 4 quadrants, oftentimes maybe on the back page of the journal, so it's easy to find. Some people like to do theirs on the scratch pad section, but this one really it could stay in your May journal. It can pop over into your June journal. It can be anywhere where there's some space to write and reflect. And sometimes with some of these, maybe you don't write full sentences at first. Maybe you just start to jot down some feelings, some truths, maybe that you became aware of. I think last week we were talking about actions and habits, and are we really reflecting what we want our future self to be with our habits? What are those habits looking like? How is that impacting ourselves, and kind of what that looks like? So maybe that's something that you can think about as well. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to let you think and work on this. And sometimes these are hard, and something doesn't come to you right away. So maybe just kind of sit, close your eyes, take a deep breath, look at that question, and really kind of think about it. See what comes to your mind. Allow yourself to kind of free float in your mind what that looks like. So let's play a little music and we'll get into it. All right. So, how did we do with that question? I think for me, one of the things I've become aware of, and then this month, kind of thinking of integrity and actions, is really thinking I need to get outside more. I'm so bad. I sit in front of the computer when I drive into the office. It's like that's the most time I spend outside is getting out of my house into the car and then getting out of my car and going into work. And it's like I work in this beautiful area and I live in a lovely area. There's a park down the way. I used to go all the time. And then I feel like I've just kind of, I don't know, it's just one of those where it's like the momentum has not been there. And I know that it is better to be outside. And so I think I really want to switch that up for June. It's a lot easier when it's nice outside, right? We have had a fair amount of rain, but I think that's one of the things really I've been reflecting on. And I saw some other folks kind of talking about what they were reflecting on as well, their actions. Some people talking about becoming more aware of what they need to do that makes them happy, which again, this is a perfect month to really think about that with the theme of flow. Kind of what are those things when I start doing it, when I start working on it, like I just lose all track of time and I'm just so absorbed. I'm not distracted, right? And so it's not going to be scrolling on your phone on Instagram or even scrolling on your phone in the Sonder Club app, right? That is not going to put you in a state of flow. So the state of flow is going to be things like walking outside or maybe doing gardening or maybe it's reading a book, right? A physical copy of a book, sitting outside. Maybe it's painting, maybe it's drawing. Maybe you like to draw, like to sketch, and maybe it's something you can grab a little sketchbook and start doing that. Play some calming music in the background and just really get into that flow state and kind of see. Yeah, and Peg saying like I'm aware of dissatisfaction with current work environment and she's figured out that financially it's okay to retire earlier than planned and now she's readjusting and I love that, right? Because that's if you think about it, our whole lives are kind of that readjusting, like what do I need, what am I doing, what's going to work, really kind of looking at things with that awareness, thinking of our integrity for ourselves and working on that. So I really appreciate everyone kind of taking time. Yeah, the song Sailing I think really kind of fits in with that flow and kind of that idea of kind of what are you aware of, what do you feel called to act on. I feel like it's just a lovely kind of working on that and moving forward. So Thank you for spending a little bit of time working on that. Again, it's great to reflect back on this all week long. So keep that in your back pocket to kind of think about. Let's move on to our rosebud thorns. So this page is going to be in your May journal on page 56. If you don't have your May journal and you're starting with June, you can do this in any blank space that you want to. This always happens at the end of the week where we want to do a little reflecting, a little bit of time thinking about it. So we have our rosebud thorn. I like to start with the thorn first, so I get the kind of icky, scratchy, uncomfortable thing out of the way first, and then I move into the rose. So for me, the challenge, the thorn this week has been I just have had a lot of stuff that I wanted to do, and finding the time slipping away, right? And finding like, I don't feel like I have enough time. And it didn't help that it was a 4-day week, which you would think that that makes things okay. But really, it's kind of trying to cram 5 days into 4 days. And I always feel like that kind of stresses me out a little bit. So that's been my thorn, my challenge, that thing that's kind of been out of my control, a little frustrating for this week. Then our bud is that emerging opportunity, something that we're excited about. Nicole, I do not use the digital journal. I am very much into using the paper and writing. Um, so our emerging opportunity, something fun. So next week on Thursday, I leave for Washington State. I am going to a fun knitting and cooking retreat on Port Ludlow, at a fun resort there with my bestest friend who lives there in Bellingham. So I'm super looking forward to that. I think that will be really fun. I'll be gone Thursday through Tuesday. So I think that will be awesome. And then our rose is our highlight, something that's exciting, something that's super fun. Something that made us smile, something that made us happy. And so for me, this, I don't know if you can see it. Can you see the little hummingbird there? She's like right there sitting on her nest. That's right outside my window at work. So I get to see this cute little hummingbird. She makes her little nest. And I don't know if I'll be able to see the little babies and the eggs because it's not quite at the level where I can look at. I might have to go up to the next floor and see if I can look down and see if I can see anything with my zoom in on my camera. But that has definitely been my rose. So feel free to share your rose, your bud, your thorn, all three, maybe just one. There in the chat. And again, I'll play just a little bit of music and then we'll keep moving on. Here I am, float away. All right. Thank you for sharing your rose, your bud, your thorn. I saw some folks, especially those of you in education, school's out. So that definitely has been a rose, or school is going to be out soon. So that's your bud. Definitely some folks dealing with some different illnesses. I was sick most of May. I had this really nasty cough, cold thing that is finally seems to be going away. I still have a little bit of a cough. My poor husband had it first and gave it to me. It wasn't that nice of him, but he has had the cough really bad. It won't go away. So he's actually on some steroids now, hoping that that goes away. So I feel bad for folks who are not feeling well, because I know that that is not fun. It's hard to be fully engaged when you aren't feeling well. So thank you all for sharing in the chat that rose, that budded, that thorn. It's so important for us just to spend a few minutes every week doing a little reflecting on the week. Otherwise, we rush forward to the next week and we tend to forget all the things that happen. Plus, this section is also very good when you do the monthly setup, reminds you of the things that happened during the month. So it's good to have that with you. So we are going to do our weekly planner. This is going to be in our June planner over on page 26 and 27. It will be the first week. I was looking to see what week is that for. Where is it? This is going to be week 23 of the year, just in case for those of you keeping track. But I'm also super excited. It starts on a Monday. I did want to mention we had this last year. Someone did this, and I don't remember who did it. So if you're on, let us know that you did this. But it was such a great example of vacation planning, right? Summertime, vacation time. And a lot of folks are like, oh, maybe I'll just completely ignore. I'll just, kind of completely ignore the journal, right? Like I'm not even going to do the weekly setup because I'm going to be on vacation. And this person said, no, you know what? I am going to make this for my vacation planner. And so they kind of covered up a lot with stickers. They went to Disneyland, which I wholeheartedly approve of, and they had some Disney goals, so some different the different attractions that they wanted to visit. They put their flight plans in there. They covered the habits and activities with stickers, right? They're like, I'm not going to worry about habits and activities and those kinds of things that happens. I'm on vacation this week. And then they use the meal plan for what happened today. And they have fun little Mickey Mouse stickers. And they're like, these are some what happened each day. So I can kind of have a little journal, right, of kind of what we did each day, kind of what things look like. And then they had a little board in an airport for the mind body health section, right? They're like, I could read a book, I could read journal articles, right? They have a nice little list there to look at. And then they have back home reset, which is so important after a vacation. So they're going to like take a shower, take a nap, unpack, get the groceries, track their finances, pack a school bag, do some laundry, like all those kind of things. And so I think that's such a great way to say, I'm not going to abandon my journal, but I'm going to repurpose it for what is happening this week and what this looks like. And I think that is a fabulous plan. So I wanted to make sure to share that with you so you could kind of see how somebody set that up for the week. So the first thing that we have on there is how we want to feel. So how we want to show up for the world, what we want to look like, kind of what we hope is that feeling that we have throughout the week. So maybe you want to feel seen, maybe you want to feel powerful or loved or lucky or creative or present. Those kinds of things. Maybe you like it better with an I am statement, right? Because those can be really helpful. So, like, I am grounded, I am inspiring, I am worthy, I am connected. I love the back in the groove because that's another way I like to think of flow, right? It's when you're in your groove, right? You're just kind of in the groove, feeling well. Yeah, this is a weekly setup. Monthly setup is tonight. Maybe it's accomplished and in control. Maybe it's I want to feel flexible. I want to feel light and airy from letting things go. Magical and creative and mighty. And I love the little Mighty Mouse on there. So these are great feelings, kind of what you want to put in there. Some people just put a sticker. Some people just do one word. Some people will do multiple words. Some people will do maybe an affirmation. If you have a word of the year, maybe you want to bring that forward as well. And then I also like to talk about the weekly major 3 goals, because I think sometimes it's helpful if you set your goals and then you think about the feeling that that will inspire when you accomplish those, or vice versa. You're like, I want to feel creative, so I'm going to set 3 goals that maybe will help me with that feeling. So here's one they want to, their goals are breathe, reflect, and intention. So that's one way that you can set that up, right? With those different words. Maybe you want to, if you've set your June intentions back on page 9 or your monthly habit tracker on page 11. Maybe you haven't done that yet because you might not have done the monthly setup. That's okay. You can think about that. It's kind of that awkward time of like, I need to set up the week, I need to set up the month. Which do I do first? What does that look like? But you can always use intentions and habit trackers to help you with those goals. Maybe you want to set your goals, excuse me, through the lens of flow. Maybe you want to set up some no goals, things you don't want to do. Maybe you're going to do like an alcohol-free June, no doom scrolling, no more than a certain number of minutes on social media. Maybe you want to stop the impulse spending. Maybe you want to stop the takeout meals for this week. Maybe it's look at previous weeks or journals to see if you have anything outstanding that you want to bring forward. Maybe you want to do some personal challenge goals, like a fitness challenge. I want to do 5 sit-ups each morning. I want to do, 3 push-ups each day, those kinds of things. Maybe it's a soup or a salad or a smoothie, a new recipe challenge, those kinds of things. Those can be good. And then I have mine is spending time outside. And spending time outside, here's some ideas for how I would do that. So I would put some of these on this list into my to-do section, right? So like take your coffee on a walk, read a chapter at a park, sit outside while listening to music, wander without a destination, visit a farmer's market or a flower stand. So lots of different ideas there. Again, you can see some one word. You can see one person, they have like a home, a work, and a health, and a mind and body. Me, home, and work for the 3 goals. Enjoying time with family, sharing gratitude with others, rest. Maybe it's a fun quote that you really like, a good affirmation that really makes you feel good. Any of those kinds of things. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to let you work on your feeling and your goals, play a little bit of music, and then we'll be right back. Okay. So thank you for sharing. Carla, did you want to see this one again? Um, and I realized that I forgot to show you. Oh no, this one. The one that I forgot to talk about. Is it this one? That has the cute little flowers there. I don't know which one you mean, but you can always watch the recording to check it out later. So I forgot to show you this slide, but it has some fun this week. Remember to make time for some different things. And I think the little plants go nicely with the social that we did on Thursday night. The opening activity was to talk about if you were a plant, who would you be and what do you need to in your environment to care for? So I thought that was kind of a fun one to connect in there. So let's jump into our to-dos. Um, Again, this can be a straight up to-do list, right? And then this person changed it to a treat yourself list. So they have things like a smoothie, an emergency, 30 minutes of reading, TikTok scroll, right? An idea of things you want to do to treat yourself. Maybe you want to make a fun little bingo board, how to center, choose 1 to 2 each day. Maybe you want to have a list of wants and needs, things that you want for the week, things that you need. And then that quote at the bottom is like, remember the results you want rarely come without a process of gradual steps toward it. So if you have some goals, thinking about what kind of steps you would need to take, what kinds of actions you need to make that goal happen, and then you can set those up in your to-dos. The Eisenhower matrix is great if you have like a whole list of to-dos and you're trying to kind of prioritize and see what those look like. So kind of thinking about things that are important and urgent, things you're going to do. They're important, but not urgent. You're going to decide. Not important and urgent, you delegate. And not important, not urgent, you delete. Jennifer popped in a link in the chat for the Eisenhower matrix to kind of get an idea of how to use that. And some people really love it. I think it's great, especially at the beginning of the month, if you have this whole list of here's all the things I want to accomplish in June and how can I prioritize those? How can I get them done without making myself crazy? So a great idea to do that. You could also do a need, want, and hope to do list, right? So I need to do these things. I want to do these things. And then maybe I hope that these feelings are there. I hope that I can get to these things, right? Kind of these are the delightful things. Maybe they're kind of a little bit down once I get the things I need to do done, I can get the things that I hope to have happen, right? And then, of course, I put in some ordinary and happy. We've got a calendar decluttering for June. I know a lot of us are still working on that decluttering. It's a process for sure. So this is a great idea. Things like on the first, start a donation box to add to this month and add one item to it today. So you can do, here's a box. I'm going to put one thing in it each day and then take it in to drop off my donations on the 30th. Maybe you want to look through the summer bucket list and add a few things from that. They've got it divided into things that are outdoor, indoor, fun, family, friends, self-care, and romantic. So some fun ideas there to kind of pop in there. And then I'm also going to talk about the habits and activities as you work on those, or the habities, as I called them one time when I was talking too fast. So I like this. I like to remind myself of this. Get into the habit of asking yourself, does this support the life I'm trying to create? So really kind of, as we were talking about, sometimes our actions aren't really supporting that future us that we want to be. Maybe we need to ask ourselves, okay, is this action actually going to get me to where I want to be? So that's a good habit to remind yourself. Again, if you've set up your intentions or your monthly habit tracker, you can look back there. And this is a little bit different from the monthly habit tracker. Monthly habit tracker is more for things you want to do every day this month. The weekly is more for things that are maybe specific to the week, things maybe you only need to do a couple times, like watering the plants. Maybe that's something you need to do once or twice this week. And you don't have to fill in every line, right? So you can see dishes, laundry, and daily ritual. They want to do dishes 7 times this week, laundry 3 times, and daily ritual twice. So you kind of set the goal that you want. One person set a just say no set of things and how many times they want to do it. So they're going to delete 50 or more emails 5 times this week. They're going to declutter 4 bags of stuff. They're going to have 3 days without sugar. They're going to have 2 days where they throw away expired food, and 1 day of no social media. Right. So other ways to kind of take a look at that. And then I've also got some other ideas for you here, right? The choose a self-love habit. Oh, Sam, goodness, deleted 5,000 files this week. Oh, the digital clutter is horrible because it's not necessarily something that's like out on your counter, but it is there. So good for you. Good for you for deleting those. Maybe you have some self-love habits that you want to do, working on your bedtime. And think of it this way too, like time is changing, right? Up here in the northern hemisphere, it's summertime, more daylight hours. What does that look like? How you need to change up your habits to match the season, right? And that is something that's important. So maybe something that you did in December doesn't quite hit as much as it does in June. So really kind of thinking about switching that up a little bit. Also, here's a fun little June bucket list. They have do a morning sunrise hike or go to a night market or a fair, spend a night stargazing, the sunset boat ride, bonfire night, summer photo shoot with friends. I think that's kind of fun. I will not be trying outdoor rock climbing. That is not my jam, but hey, it might be your jam. Maybe that's something that's fun. Try a new summer cocktail or mocktail in the June journal. There's a fun watermelon mocktail in there, so maybe that's something that you can add in to either your to-dos or your habits and activities. So I'll cycle through these slides, let you work on those, and then we'll check back in and move on to that next page. Oh, right. So lots of good ideas for things that folks are going to put in there. I love that a lot of you liked the take your coffee for a walk. I think that's a fun idea, right? It's like, oh, I could go for a walk and hold my cup of coffee. Or maybe if there's a shop close to you, you could walk to the coffee shop. We used to have a Starbucks that was just down past the park, and sometimes I would walk down there. I would have a cup of coffee, sit in there, drink my coffee, and then walk back. But unfortunately, that one closed, and now it's a drive-through Starbucks. So I would have to walk further for a coffee shop. So, but you could always like park somewhere and walk to a coffee shop or find a coffee shop near a park. And walk around. So lots of fun ideas. Again, that like getting outside, right? Like every morning I want my coffee, but how could I maybe pair it up with something else? So I love everyone's ideas for different things that you can do there. And I know some folks mentioned like, usually I go back to my intentions and that's what helps me set my to-dos and my habits and activities. Just make some notes somewhere on some scratch paper. And then when you do your monthly setup, then just remember to come back and set that up. So no worries there. So let's flip over to page 27, where we have kind of the B side, right? I think this is probably more heavily repurposed, different areas, kind of depending on what you need for the week, depending on what your focus is for the week. So the meal plan, I thought maybe one of the things that I could do is try a new recipe every month. And I found just this one that said, I wish more people knew caramelized bananas take 5 minutes and make plain yogurt taste like dessert. So I'm going to try. It's just you put some butter in a saucepan, slice up the bananas lengthwise, put them in there for like a couple minutes on one page, turn them over a couple minutes on the other side, and then there you go. Right there's your fun little caramelized bananas. So I was like, I think I want to try that. That looks delicious. So maybe that's something fun summer things to do. Lots of different ways to do this. Obviously, you can use it to plan what you're going to eat. You can use it to record what you're eating, but people do lots of different things with it. It can be an exercise tracker, a cleaning plan, a place where you write down your affirmations, a rest plan. We've got like the 7 types of rest. And so they kind of made themselves a little list of the things that they could do with those 7 types of rest, different ideas for ways that they could rest their mind and their body. Kindness quote doodles, right? So they have some fun little quotes about being kind, and then they have some little doodles that they did there. Then the other person did the meal plan. It's funny, I realize that that example is from several years ago because because we used to have it printed breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack in that area. And then they took that away because people were like, I don't use it for that. And that takes up space. So I realized, like, oh, that's an older example. Um, a moment of Zen doodle. I love that idea. Fun little pictures. I know there's somebody, I keep meaning to take a screenshot and I forget. Her husband does a little daily story. He's doing like a little cartoon, and he does each day, he draws a little thing in this little series of this story, which I think is so cute. Maybe it's daily affirmations. Maybe you're my week in reading, kind of jotting down some things that you have been reading about. Chore list, right? Make it happen, clearing off the table, vacuuming the rugs, those kinds of things. Also, here's some idea for some micro habits for a better day. So things like there's a morning, afternoon, and evening, which I think is great. And I've been reading a lot about the importance of sleeping at the same time, right? Going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time is very important to kind of help our bodies do that reset and reboot. So been trying to be a little more conscious of making sure that that happens. And then I'm going to go over all the sections in this to let you work on it. Our mind body health plan. Again, these can be things that are good for our mind or our body. You can plan your meals. You can have some fun little alliteration here where they have a meatless Monday, a TV free Tuesday, walking Wednesday. Got a little chore bingo going on in there. Again, some different types of rest that they have, ideas of things that they want to do, 4 types of self-care, right? So some mental self-care, physical self-care, emotional and spiritual. Another meal plan there. I think they must do it's like a food box kind of delivery thing. So they have it has fun names like getting figgy with it, chicken, and then garlic butter, shrimp scampi, which sounds really good. All those different kinds of things. And then one of them, they wrote something I did well this week and some ways I loved others this week. So kind of keeping track of those kinds of things. Our shopping list, obviously, You can use it for things that you need to go shopping for, grocery store. I need to find one of those backpacks that kind of opens at the top. It's kind of that envelope opening. I want to find one of those for my laptop. And I need to find another suitcase. So I'm like, I need to write those down so I can go shopping. We can use it as a packing list, right? We can use it for quotes. We can use it for our word of the day. We can use it for a mindfulness activity, a bedtime routine, a morning routine. This was one that I did one time, a little bingo, the energy givers. So things that can give you energy, sunshine, music, reading, nature, rest, water, meditation, good food, movement, right? Just a fun little way to kind of gamify there. And then that I am loving section really is for whatever you're enjoying right now, something that you're loving. Some people, they're loving the daily rituals. I love somebody put, I love the smell of my new laundry detergent, right? So that's like a super fun thing to think about. And then I've been listening to, I think I only have like maybe 2 or 3 episodes left of the podcast of The Secret World of Roald Dahl. Very interesting guy. He did not just write children's books. Very, very interesting. Um, did lots of things. Highly recommend it. It's a really well produced podcast. Super, super interesting to see the different things that he did. So I don't know who did the smell of the new laundry detergent because that's not mine. So I don't know what their new laundry detergent was. I'll be honest, I have to use the non-scented because it makes my skin itchy if I use any of the scented ones. But I do love the nice smell of laundry there. So I'm going to let you work on that in these last few moments that we have left, and then we'll check back in and we will wrap things up. All right. Well, once again, that hour is gone. We have spent that time together. Love everyone in the chat, supporting each other, giving each other ideas. We have such a fabulous community. So it's always so exciting to see what you do there in the chat and what you do when you're all together. So share any of the pieces of your weekly planner that you would like. If you feel comfortable in Sonder Club, you can see these are all examples that we got from you. I say it's all from HI, the human intelligence, not AI. So always happy to see that. Meha wanted us to remind you that you can still try the Sonder Coach for free and share your feedback with her. Jennifer's going to pop some links there in the chat. So how you can go to that if you don't have the Sonder Coach, or even if you do, you can go to that link. You can select a worry goal or a personality reading. Takes about 60 seconds. You can kind of walk through it, and then you can send her some information about how the experience felt. Was it helpful or surprising, confusing? What might make it better? So you can send her an email. She popped that in there. Also, speaking of Meha, oh, Tina, thanks for the recommendation on the backpack. But I don't shop on Amazon. But I'll see if I can find one somewhere else. But mid-year reset, Meha is doing. There is no charge for this exclusive event this month. So be sure to hop on that. If you are not able to attend at the time, you will get a link for a recording. It just doesn't have the chat in there. So make sure that you sign up for that. I will be stage managing that one behind the scenes. So hope that I see you there. Again, Jennifer's popping in links for the YouTube, how to sign up for mid-year reset, all those things. Jennifer O is going to be facilitating the monthly setup tonight. I think I do the monthly setup tomorrow morning, and then we do a weekly setup tomorrow night, and then we'll have a weekly Monday morning, and then we'll have a monthly Monday night. So we've got lots more setups for you to attend if you want, and you can always watch the YouTube link, right? You can always go to the YouTube link, watch one of the socials, and have fun there. So thank you all so very much for joining us. So excited to see you there. And we will hopefully see you again soon. Take care, everyone.